Kath and Anders, fantastic to have you here. You drew the short straw today. You got me as the interviewer. Indeed, but we change it up. We can have a bit of fun and frivolity, as we know in startups and business world that we have to know how to have fun, but also to be serious as well. So I would like to know more about you guys, and we can get a good connection with the audience as well about your history and knowledge and experience in the startup world. And just to start off though, Kath, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and yeah, a little bit of history? Can you do your personal pitch per se?
Okay, well, hi everyone. I'm Kath Intson, Goth, if you are Estonian. It's a pleasure to be back here in Tallinn. I was here last in August for about a month. Anders was here a few weeks ago, and we're finally getting to enjoy a little bit of good weather and the city. So it's great to be back. As Dan mentioned, I'm the CEO of Sentinel R&D, to be known here in Eesti as Valvor Labs. And I'm not new to the startup world. This is actually my third startup, second venture backed. Um, I was previously in academia for 10 years, so I did a PhD. I taught at the University of Toronto for 7 years before transitioning into the defense sector, and here we are.
Yeah, Anders, would you like to? So just a brief bit. You have Estonian heritage, right, as well?
We do, yes. Meie isa on eestlane ja meil on Eesti kodakondsus. So we are Estonian citizens. We have a strong connection here in Eesti, and our plan is to expand the business to Europe here in Estonia first.
Fantastic. Yep. Brilliant. And as I understand as well, you're from Canada as well.
Canadian.
Yes.
And Anders, this is a family business then, as I understand.
It is. This is my lovely sister who's 5 years older than me. So she's managed to be pretty critical in helping us move forward with growth and strategy.
That's a really nice way of saying that I was a rogue advisor that ended up taking the CEO space through sheer brute force.
I think we will let that settle over drinking a little non-alcoholic cocktail to talk about the running a startup when with family as well involved, because it's a different dynamic. I'd like to hear first though about Sentinel and exactly is it a good one? Is it Anders? It's got
Very tasty, yes.
excellent. I'd like to know a little bit more about Sentinel. Can you give us a base? We've talked about it's in defense tech. Can you give us some more context on where you are in defense tech then?
Maybe we'll just say what Anders does first.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Go for it. Yeah.
So before all this, I was in manufacturing renovations. So we'd go into large scale manufacturing warehouses and completely renovate them with like robotics and CNC and
Help them scale up.
help them scale up. We were giving a lot of money away to subcontractors for certain machines. So I decided to go to school for physics and computer science. Was working back at the with the boys for one summer, and the topic of drones came up.
Well, the war had broken out too.
Yeah, the war. This was in 2022. I wanted
Yeah.
summer of 2023 actually.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny because we nobody got their no out fast enough to the idea, and so 2 years later, and a whole bunch of time, we focus on advanced manufacturing.
Right.
Specifically in composites.
But Anders has also had a lifelong obsession with defense to the point where, I really wished that I'd paid attention to the prophesizing, back when I was 5 years old and, he came crawling out of the womb holding a model tank. And we've graduated from the reenactment of those battle scenarios to strategy and logistics and a complete obsession with the FPV, videos that we've all seen from uh from drones of every type of terrain, as well as complete dial in to the conflicts around the world. And so this lifelong defense obsession has been present since birth. And so we always knew that Anders when it was going to do something like this, it was a matter of when. And it ended up just so happening to be that it was a marriage of all of your skill sets together. No, like, but I'm being serious. It was the manufacturing background. It was the robotics and computing and the lifelong defense obsession that has really galvanized us as a company and propelled us forward in our R&D.
It's tremendously kind to say. Oh wow, he wants me to shed a tear up here, and I'm sorry for that.
I'm usually mean.
Uh, I know it's great that we can put this on for public. We can see that later over drinks, networking afterwards. The actual family feud dynamic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But to see Anders then as being he was meant to be. It was just a matter of when and how and what in the end. Kath, how did you get sold on board by Anders then, or you also have been interested in this since you've been seeing Anders so passionate in this direction? How did you get involved then as well?
So yeah, like I said, I was meant to be an advisor to just help them structure the company, make some introductions to investors. But Anders has always had a really galvanizing personality, and the fact that the first year of any bootstrap startup involves a lot of free labor, and being able to recruit like a Boeing engineer to be our head of aerospace who hung in there without a salary for several months and worked really long hours to make this come together, as well as the other engineers from our team, the other computer scientists. It was so awe-inspiring, and nobody who witnesses that firsthand can have any doubt of the success of the company and the success of the business.
Fantastic.
I think that's a lot of very humble words to say that I just kept throwing her way too much work.
Yeah.
And so eventually, I mean, it's a good fit on the team. The entire team is just well put together.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great. It sounds like lots of motivation, passion, and energy.
yeah.
And let's work out then for the audience too. Like, can you tell us exactly what you do? Passion is fantastic, and that's the main ingredient in a startup as well. But tell us where that passion's being funneled. Yeah,
Sure.
So we focus on smart composites manufacturing and robotics. And the area that we're currently applying this in is, of course, drones. The whole idea there, of course, being that drones have changed modern warfare to the point where 80% of casualties now have come from FPV drones. That's not something that we ever anticipated, I think, as a civilization, that these hobby drones would be taking out these $100 million systems, and the unevenness and uneven distribution.
Asymmetrical.
The asymmetry was really what drove us to this space, but also the fact that we in the West have completely given up our manufacturing power to China. DJI produces 70% of the world's drones, and they make those drones for both sides of the war in Ukraine and also for many other conflicts. And so, as we're thinking about sovereignty, as we're thinking about bringing manufacturing back to the West, which seems like it was really well timed, that's really what drove us to this particular way of contributing to defense.
And that specifically, where this kind of all adds up is in a 6 kilogram payload going 1,000 kilometers for about 10 grand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's about at the
That's
very least.
competitive with
That's
China.
Yeah, so
incredibly
can you give it the
competitive.
numbers on what a Chinese-made drone then would be compared to yours?
Comparatively, it's about 25 to 30-ish everywhere else. So, and the way that we've been able to do that is we've really pushed hard on our manufacturing efficiencies. So for one example, one of our techniques reduces labor across the drone, like during laminate carbon fiber.
Making the parts.
Yeah, making the actual physical drone by about 70%. That's serious double digits.
Just cheaper than it can be made in China,
Cheaper than it can be made in China.
which is pretty mad concerning like industries. Every industry we talk about in fashion or whatever,
Yep.
it's always like, oh, we should do our manufacturing in China. But you're talking about then mass production of drones that can be cheaper than China, but then is made in Canada then? Where do we...
Made in Ukraine, made in Canada, made in Estonia, made in everywhere across the West. Eventually France as well. They're very interested.
The idea is to build the type of environment that can be copy and pasted across, several different nations in order to bring that manufacturing local. So you set up one system, you do it right, and you're able to duplicate it multiple fold.
It
Eh,
scales very
And
quickly.
is this because of the automation of it?
Yeah.
And you're
Exactly.
reducing, because labor cost is the reason why China's generally cheap,
That's
right?
that's exactly right.
Exactly it.
So the number one contributor to China's low cost is the cost of their labor, and that's why we've had to put so much effort into reducing human labor and error
Mhm.
into the way that we build our drones. That's how you win the cost war, is through automation and through doing things more intelligently. And I mean that in terms of technology, not, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very exciting then as well. And so how is it you're at Latitude 59? This is your first time here then as well. You've been to Estonia a couple of times that you've said on previous trips. How is it then going with your growth, expansion, getting people to take on contracts? What is the timeline from someone, people say, hey, we want to then build in France or we want to
Right.
build in a country? How long does that take generally for a process or
To deploy?
Yeah.
So to deploy, we're looking at a 1,500 meter square facility right now in
Yeah,
the-
we've been touring sites for the last couple days. Yeah.
probably takes to get up to a production ramp of around 1,000 to 2,000 a month. I will take about 2 months to fully kit out the shop if everything goes poorly.
Yeah, and
Like,
so it's the idea of expanding to Europe, a couple of things are required. One, I think, the best battle testing grounds, of course, are in Ukraine. So we've put a lot of our energy into developing our relationships with warfighters who have budgets in order to, test these systems out in theater. So those contracts are required for us to push the accelerator button on building here in Europe. And, like I said, proving yourself in Ukraine is proving yourself in Europe at this point in time. Now, when it comes to the other vertical that we have is selling directly B2B. And so that goes a lot faster, and that goes a lot faster in Canada and the US, which encourages us to keep our operations uh, to expand our operations in North America. So it will really be a matter of timing of when each of those contracts comes in.
Just to link back as well to, we're talking about cost in China as well, so sorted, but volume of production then. How many places will you have to have in Europe to be producing more than China can put out?
that's a really
We're not going to win that war.
nuanced. Yeah, like if we want to jump down that rabbit hole, you're first going to need numbers back from Ukraine on how and what they like using it for, right? I mean,
But the
case in
infrastructure,
point. Oh yeah,
like Shenzhen in China produces 70% of the world's drones. It's the size of two Manhattans. It's 1,300 square kilometers.
so 90% of the world's electronics.
90% of the world's electronics. So all of the things that you need in order to put on those drones, those are all produced in China. They've been doing it for 20 years. They have 10,000 different manufacturing facilities there. So in order to win the war, as it were, yes, we need to be investing in cheap and scaled production of drones. After all, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. So we do need to work on that. But the other thing we need to be investing in is in systems that can take out drone swarms at scale. That's the thing that we need to be worried most about. China can do 10,000 quadcopter swarms. They can do 200 fixed wing drone swarms. They've been able to do that since 2017. We haven't matched that yet in the West. And so in order to take out those swarms,
Well, in order to even get a chance to play with that amount of swarming, you need the manufacturing capability.
yeah, you need the manufacturing capability.
We don't even have a mitt for the ball game right now,
Right, exactly.
and it's upsetting.
So how can everyone in this room right now, and it's a very serious talk in the afternoon session in our speakeasy here, but how can people help you right now to get what you want? What do you want out of this conference? What are you looking for?
We're always looking to make friends. I think for us, especially since we have our CTO here, the CTO of a defense company, their job is to interface with warfighters to deliver the solutions into soldiers' hands that they need. And so we're always looking for friends that are aligned with the defense forces, especially here in Eesti. That would be a really great connection for us. But other than that, we're here to shake hands, get to know the ecosystem a little.
We're also there's a two-way street on this if we can find component manufacturers that are focused on Western built components and systems.
Mm,
So
that's true.
one of the most recent conversations that we had in Calgary was with Lockheed Martin,
Yeah.
and they've showed and expressed a tremendous amount of interest in us bridging the gap between Ukrainian tech that is battle proven and bringing it over to Canada and North America and vice versa, and seeing how we can iterate, how we can improve upon that. And one of the most interesting parts of that conversation was that they are thinking about this in the right way
Yeah.
with regards to how much stuff should cost. Like, for example, like a daytime or visual navigation system. It's using computer vision to say that that bridge and that bend in the road means that I'm here on a map. Okay, that system is usually $15,000 to $25,000 in Ukraine. Like that's and they're
Where all
the
the
cheapest,
innovation is happening.
where all the innovation is
All,
happening, where all of the best costs for components are there. Um, these guys are thinking about popping one out that's a little bit better on its algorithms, and it's about $7,000.
so
So they're
you'll see the
thinking
primes are
right.
thinking about this too, right? And so one of the amazing things about being Canadian and being Estonian is that we can bridge the gap between some of the primes that do a lot of their business in North America and the smaller companies that are looking to build out their sales pipeline and also be proven.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. So, hey, dude, that's the whole thing about the conference as well. Support Sentinel, support CAF and Unders as well. And we've talked about the business. And just to go a little bit sweet and sour, we've talked very techie defense. They're big geopolitical topics that we've got right now, very serious topic. I want to also get into, as founders, as entrepreneurs with your experience as well. We've got startups in the room and new people that could be going into defense tech. And we know it gets tough and we know that it gets difficult. And I just want, is there something as a CTO as well, from a technical side of things, because we don't hear that often from technical people because they don't speak much, not publicly.
Mm.
What's one tip that each of you could give a founder in the room about how they can get through those difficult times? Any opinions that you have? Because of course they always conflict with other people's opinions, but we want to hear yours, and we like you. So thanks for your time today. Yeah.
2 words. If you are a CTO jumping into the defense tech space, it's like jump deep. Like go far. Anything along that line of thinking. You have to be fanatical.
Yeah.
That's the key.
This is a crowded space. You have to be
Crowded
fanatical.
space. And expect the competition breeds a good product.
Yeah.
So go be competitive,
Go be competitive,
you know.
make friends. And my piece of advice would be find a way.
Yeah.
Whenever you encounter a difficult position, know that you will find a way. You need to be a little bit crazy in order to become an entrepreneur, and you need to be a little bit positively self-deceptive. It's healthy,
Oh yeah.
it's normal, and you will find a way.
Thank you very much. That's really inspiring and some great words to finish on. Sentinel, check them out and connect with Unders and CAF. Big round of applause for Sentinel.